I'm starting with this frame that I thrifted, and I recently got these decoupage papers from Amazon. I'll have the link in the description. Now, I thought these were going to be a little bit more transparent, but technically decoupage can be also in a paper type form versus a transparent tissue-like form. And so they're really beautiful. I love these colors. They're going to go great into the fall season. And so really beautiful. And so now I'm just going to sand down this frame a little bit. I gave it a good cleaning and a light sanding so the paint can stick a little bit better. There really is not a lot of finish on this wood, so I should be pretty good. And so now I'm using the apple barrel in the color Pavement. It's a dark gray. I thought it went really well with the image that I chose. And so I do give this about 2 coats. I wanted to stress the frame just a little bit, lightly going in a circular motion. I know if I went, in one direction too much, it would create a harsh line. And so I opted for a light circular motion so I can see how much I am taking back. I'm taking some of the Waverly antiquing wax and just going over the frame to add a little bit of richness and a finish. What it also does is this frame was a little bit orange, and so this dark brown of the wax is going to take that to more of a rich kind of a walnut color that's you can see through there with the sanding. I'm taking some of the Waverly finishing gel sealer and just using it as protection. Also, it gives it a nice finished look. It is a matte, and so I won't get any gloss out of this, which is great. You can use Mod Podge for this step as well. I was using a little cheapy gel that I had gotten, and so I tossed that. I've got the Waverly now, and I'm liking it so far. For the second project, I'm taking this tin that I thrifted. I really like doing these. I used to do these quite a bit in the past. I would do like assemblage pieces out of them. And so here is some transfers that I got from Amazon as well. I will have the link in the description. Now, these transfers, though they are very, very beautiful, the graphics are amazing. They're really great size. I was very impressed. But you will see here coming up that I had a slight issue with these. And so we'll get into that once we get to that part. But I wanted you to take a look at each of these. I think they're really great. They're going to take me well into the summer and fall season. And so I'm taking just a little bit of sandpaper, sanding block, and sanding down that metal. It's a good first step when painting on metal. You know, you don't always get the best paint coverage, I guess you can say. Spray painting this would be ultimately the best choice. But because I give this, I think 2 to 3 coats plus a sealer, it ended up working quite well. And so I just sanded that, wipe it down a little bit. And now I'm going to give this 2 to 3 really good coats. Okay, so I really like how this fit, except for that top part above the highest mushroom, that foliage there. What I'm going to do is cut that and add it to that left corner. And so you can see that I've already cut that off, and I'm going to add that just underneath that mushroom. It widens the image and takes it down. Okay, so you guys, okay, so I stick this first one down and I start to do rub-on transfer. Now, these have a really kind of a sticker-like effect. They're not your normal transfer that's kind of light and peels off easily. So when I peeled that off, it took the paint off. Believe me, 3 coats of paint plus a sealer is fine for a transfer, any other transfer. But these are like a thick sticker. I thought they were a sticker at first. They're not. They're transfers. But they're very sticky. And so, I was kind of really upset. See how it took the paint off behind there? I was upset about it. I thought, God, what am I going to do? I just messed this whole thing up. And it's also got a sheen to it, like a glossy sticker. And I thought, God, this is not really like a transfer. But I'm going to work with it. I end up, I took it off camera, got this one done, and so now I'm just going to figure out how I'm going to fix that corner. So what's that saying about lemons, right? I just take that original really sticky backing and just rip up that paint. And so, I didn't want to go around and sand this and distress it, but it turns out, sometimes the project just kicks your butt and it tells you what to do. I have a lot of experience with that. And so I just went with it. Now, the stickiness did not take up any of this paint, or probably because it's sealed really well right there. So what I'm going to do is just take that sanding block and lightly start to sand. Okay, so I'm just going to lightly just see where it goes. The last thing I want is to sand down to the original tin, right? I want that image that was behind the paint on the original tin. I think it was like some graphics, some writing, and I thought that might look kind of neat. So I just take off the paint that I laid down down to the graphic on the tin. And you know what? This has turned out to be a happy accident. It might just be one of my most favorite projects that I've done since starting this channel. I absolutely love how this turned out. And I have another step that I'm going to do that's going to change this entire thing. So there we are, sanding it down, getting some distress. You know, I probably should have done this anyways. I was going to leave it, but it worked out really well. Okay, so now I'm just doing a little bit, not too much. I don't want to go down to that silver. So I'm taking the antiquing wax. And so what this antiquing wax ended up doing was two things. It gave it a deeper, richer tone, which is great. But also I noticed with this transfer, it took the sheen. See how you have that sticker sheen? It took that sheen down and almost kind of like melted the transfer into the paint and made it look like a normal regular transfer. And so I am putting the link in the description for this transfer set, but I don't want you guys to come at me. You know, I wanted to be full transparency and show you how it worked for me. Now in the third project, a little bit different experience with this, and I did, you know, I gave this 3 coats, I put on a sealer, I dried it really well, I even put it in the freezer just to cool off the metal and to, you know, really let it kind of cure. And so that's just the way that this worked out. But I absolutely adore this tin. I'm keeping it for myself, and maybe I'll cut up the rest of these transfers and store it in this tin. Isn't that gorgeous? I just absolutely love it. I'm so thrilled with it. Moving on to project number 3. I thrifted this. I think it's like a, what do you call, like a cookbook holder for the kitchen, or maybe just any book, you know, you want to have displayed open. And it's pretty old school, but I'm going to give it an updated look. I'm sanding it down. It's in relatively good condition, but because I'm going to be staining it, I do want to give it a little bit of a sanding. I'm using another one of these transfers. And this one is really nice. It's an owl with kind of like a wreath around with the mushrooms, feather, some flowers, and foliage. I thought it was a great choice for this. Again, you know, these transfers aren't too bad. Once I get used to how they work, I was surprised at how good the size is for these. It's hard to find good transfers on Amazon. A lot of them tend to be smaller. And so you can see here where it's really like a sticker. And so I got that placed on there. And I just kind of lightly, I just kind of lightly pressed it down because I knew I was going to have to be peeling this thing back. I noticed with this one, I almost didn't have to do like the rubbing part. It's almost like it's a no rub transfer. I don't know. See, now I get this corner here and some of it didn't transfer over. And I thought, oh gosh, not again, you know. But somehow I think I got part of it to stick down. And they're kind of a little stubborn there trying to get those back up. But I noticed if I peeled it in a certain way, like really close to itself, like peel it back instead of up, but peel back, it comes off. But now, because this is just a porous wood, may have given me a little bit better chance with this one. There was a couple of spots that was sketchy, but overall it worked out. So here's a better view of what I mean by peeling it back instead of lifting up. So I just slowly peeled this back. I barely did any kind of rubbing to this. I guess it's just a different kind of a transfer. I don't know. But, whew, thank God. Okay, now, again with the Waverly Antiquing Wax. I started out there at the top on the handle with just the wax. It wasn't enough. Again, these older, this older wood, you know, from the 80s and 90s tends to be a little orange. So what I did was I took some of the black acrylic paint, mixed it with the antiquing wax, and that really gave me a nice dark tone that I was looking for, just to take this in a different direction. Okay guys, that's it for these 3 thrift flips. I hope you enjoyed them. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.